Alright, how's it going? So today I'm gonna be doing a very similar video to a video that I did in the past. Earlier, a few days ago, I did the top 10 Lakers of all time, and today I'm gonna be doing the top 10 Celtics of all time, in my opinion. Since I'm doing the Celtics, I had to rock the green tee today. I plan on doing a top 10 for every NBA team, all 30. Hopefully I can upload a video like that every week. It just takes a while to get everything together and to get the accolades and stats and whatnot for top 10 players. So hopefully I can maintain a steady pace of uploading one of those videos every week, but we'll see. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into the video. And starting with number 10, I have Sam Jones. And Sam Jones has 10 finals. He's a 5-time All-Star. Oh yeah, by the way, so first and foremost, all these stats are just for when they played for the Celtics. So if you look at their stats, their career stats, it's gonna be different than what I say here because also the stats aren't gonna be exact because I personally did the math for them and I'm not very good at math. So these are close but not 100% accurate. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, so Sam Jones, like I said, 10 finals, 5-time All-Star. He averaged 17.7 points per game on the Celtics, and he averaged 5 rebounds per game. Those 10 finals came in the same stretch that Bill Russell was winning all those. Sam Jones was more so a role player, but because of the fact that he had 10 finals and he averaged a pretty decent amount of points per game, 17.7 points per game for the Celtics, and 5 rebounds isn't bad at all either. And then that 5-time All-Star, I had to put him on the list. Moving on to number 8, JoJo White. He's a two-time finals. He's a 1-time finals MVP. He averaged 20.8 points per game, 1.7 steals, 5.7 assists, 4.9 and 4.9 rebounds. JoJo White, he played after Bill Russell, so those finals he won by himself, and that finals MVP. He averaged more points per game than Sam Jones, but he was a much better defender. That 1.7 steals per game is definitely a really big reason why I had to put him not only just on this list, but also over Sam Jones for number 9. And also the fact that he won Finals MVP, just proving that he helped the Celtics more than Sam Jones did. But moving on, all these guys have I think all of them, most of them have records for the Celtics from here on out. But number 8, I have Robert Parrish, 3-time finals, 9-time All-Star. He has the most offensive rebounds and the most defensive rebounds in Celtics history, and the most blocks in recorded blocks in Celtics history. He averaged 16.8 points per game, 1.6 blocks per game, and 10.2 rebounds per game. Robert Parrish is one of the most elite defenders and rebounders in Celtics history. Didn't win a Finals MVP, maybe because of the fact that he wasn't an elite scorer, but he was still a decent scorer throughout his career. A really healthy balance of both offense and defense and rebounding. Good all-around player. Had to put him up here at number 8. I feel like a lot of people have him a little bit higher, but I couldn't put him any higher than number 8 for the fact that he didn't break any records. He didn't have any Finals MVPs, stuff like that. But moving on to number 7, I have Bob Cousy, 6-time Finals, 13-time All-Star. He has the most assists in Celtics history. He averaged 20.1 points per game, 8.2 assists per game, and 4.7 rebounds per game. Now you might be noticing a trend here. Sometimes I won't mention this stat line for this player or this stat line for that player. I really just include the ones that are significant to me, and the fact that Bob Cousy was a guard and he averaged 4.7 rebounds per game, that was significant enough of a number for me to put him on here. That 8.2 assists per game and the most assists of all time put him over Robert Parrish. But another thing that put him over Robert Parrish was the fact that he has twice as many finals and he has 4 more All-Stars. Bob Cousy also didn't ever win a Finals MVP, but he had a more successful Celtics career than Robert Parrish. Wasn't quite the defender that he was in terms of just not just blocks, because of course Robert Parrish is going to get more blocks than Bob Cousy, but Bob Cousy wasn't an amazing defender. Didn't really average that many steals, but stats don't really tell the whole story. He could have been disrupting shots or forcing players to pass the ball when they didn't have a shot because he was guarding them. But moving on to number 6, I have Dave Cowens, 2-time Finals, 8-time All-Star. He averaged 20 points per game, 1.1 blocks per game, 1.3 steals per game, and 15.4 rebounds per game. And so I know what you're thinking, like Bob Cousy. First of all, Dave Cowens doesn't have any records for the Celtics, but also Bob Cousy has 4 more finals. He has 5 more All-Stars, and he averaged 0.1 more points per game. The reason why I had to put Dave Cowens above Bob Cousy is just due to the fact that he was a better all-around player. He averaged high points per game, a pretty decent number of blocks per game, a pretty decent number of steals per game, and a pretty elite rebounder. Those reasons I had to put him over Bob Cousy, just for those simple facts. He didn't break any records for the Celtics, but he was definitely a big part of the Celtics' success. And I just couldn't put him any lower than Bob Cousy. Moving on to number 5, I have Kevin McHale. He's a 3-time, he has 3 finals championships. He's a 2-time Sixth Man of the Year, 7-time All-Star. He has the most blocks per game in Celtic history. He averaged 18 points per game, 1.7 blocks per game, and 7.3 rebounds per game. Kevin McHale was a little bit more difficult to rank. I wasn't sure whether I should put him above or below Dave Cowens because of the fact that he averaged less points and rebounds. But the fact that he has a record, which is most blocks per game, over Dave Cowens, and the fact that he has 1 more finals and he's a 2-time Sixth Man of the Year, those are just all factored into him ranking this high on the list. No, and moving on to number 4, my mom really likes this guy for some reason. I don't know why. You know him because he needed a wheelchair to go take a crap during the game. Paul Pierce. He's won finals. In that finals, he was finals MVP. 10-time All-Star. He has the most three-point field goals in Celtics history, the most free throws, and the most steals. He averaged 23.2 points per game. He averaged 1.5 steals, 4.1 assists, and 6.4 rebounds per game. Paul Pierce is the most recent player on this list, and I wasn't sure if he was even gonna make the cut, let alone be this high. Because to be completely honest, I don't know. I just feel like I have like a bad rap for Paul Pierce on my mind because of the fact that he needed a freaking wheelchair to go take a dump when Kobe Bryant sunk 2 free throws on 2 torn Achilles. But three records for the Celtics, 10-time All-Star. He had a long career with the Celtics. He bought them a championship and won the Finals MVP for that. Pretty elite scorer. He was a really good defender too, and pretty good all-around player in terms of assists and rebounds. Playing a small forward. But moving on to number 3, and this is a hot. I feel like I have a hot take in almost every single one of my videos. But at number 3, a lot of people have this guy at number 1, but I have him at number 3. Larry Bird. He's a 3-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, 3-time regular season MVP, 12-time All-Star, most offensive win shares in Celtic history, and he averaged 24.3 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. Now, hear me out. I had to put him this low not because of the fact that he wasn't a good player, because he obviously was. His offensive any was like no other. It's like he if he put up a shot, chances were he was gonna make it, no matter who was being defended by. He could sink almost any single shot, any shot from any spot from the court. He's one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time, and a really good rebounder too. But the reason why I couldn't put him any higher on this list is because of these next 2 guys just completely outshone him in my opinion. At number 8, I have John Havlicek. John Havlicek was an 8-time 8-time Finals, 1-time Finals MVP, 13-time All-Star. He has the most games in Celtics history, most field goals, most 2-point field goals, most points. He averaged 20.8 points per game, 1.2 steals per game, 4.2 assists per game, and 6.3 rebounds per game. He has more finals than Larry Bird. Granted, they were on the same team as Bill Russell, but he still was able to get a Finals MVP over him. 13-time All-Star, and mainly those records that he had for the Celtics is a big reason why I had to put him over Larry Bird. He didn't average as many points, but he averaged more steals and more assists, not quite as many rebounds, but still a pretty decent amount of rebounds. I was very close to putting Larry Bird at number 2, not only because of the fact that a lot of people see him as the greatest, if not the second greatest Celtic of all time, but just because of the fact of his offensive dominance on the court is unmatched by almost anybody in league history. But at number one, I couldn't put anybody else above this guy. Bill Russell. He's probably the best defender in NBA history. I said this in I think it was my last video. No. It was a few videos ago where I talked about the greatest defenders in NBA history. I mentioned the fact that before block shots were a recorded stat, Bill Russell, our reporters used to go to Bill Russell's and Wilt Chamberlain's games, and they recorded the blocks before it was recognized by the NBA. And every night they would report how many blocks Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain got. And we can see that Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain both average 8 blocks per game. We're not really talking about Wilt Chamberlain right now, but I had to mention that too. But Bill Russell is one of the greatest defenders of all time, one of the greatest rebounders of all time. Of course, he has that 11 finals championships, the most in NBA history. He's a 5-time regular season MVP. He has the most rebounds on the Celtics, the most rings, the most rebounds per game, the most win shares, and the most defensive win shares. He's a 5-time rebound champion. He averaged 15.1 points per game, 22.5 rebounds per game, and as I stated earlier, over 8 blocks per game. There's literally nobody else who I could have put on at this number one position but Bill Russell. Not Larry Bird, not John Havlicek, not Paul Pierce, nobody. He has the most records in Celtics history. He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. He's one of the most elite rebounders of all time. He averaged a pretty decent amount of points per game. As I said earlier, 15.1, which is pretty good. He played with the Celtics his whole career, which a lot of these guys that factored in very much how long they played for the Celtics for. But he was 11 for 12 in the finals, and he only played 13 seasons. So out of those 13 seasons that he played, he bought the Celtics 11 finals. So I literally couldn't put anybody above him. But that's going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you for watching. If you haven't seen my Laker video, I would appreciate it if you went and watch that. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you consider liking and subscribing. And if there's anything that you would change about this list, let me know in the comments below. That's it. That's all I have for the day. Have a great day. Bye.